Hey YouTube, it's Sean. And here we go. I needed to fix a crank flashlight. I used one of these bearings, smaller than this. I used a 1/2-inch version. This is just to show you what the bearing I used. And there's the flashlight. Now it charges. And now I can crank it again. You know, some things you just can't throw away. You just gotta fix them. But there's the generator part of it. And now when you crank it, it charges. Has an actual lead acid battery in it, a good battery. Battery works fine. Let's put this back on here. Hopefully. There we go. But to do this, you know, had to take the bearing and I had to take the bearing and make a bearing holder. Well, I just used a piece of small galvanized pipe, pressed it in with the vise, crimped it, you know, in the vise, and then set it in epoxy, my special blend, which isn't so special. I use marine grade epoxy mixed with JB Weld. So you got the 2 parts of the epoxy and you got 2 parts of JB Weld, and that's what I use. And it is good for steel when you need to steel or aluminum. Works really well. And then I had to make a dog to go into the transmission of the for the gears for the generator part of it. Well, I use a stainless steel pipe or tube that's 1/2 inch. Here's my first fail. Too short. Excuse me. Here's my first fail. Way too short and way too much material for the fitting. And then I did this one and I shallowed up my cut, but it was still too short for overall length. So I just decided to take the whole tube, which was huge long, and just cut the dog the way I needed it, to dog into the gears, and I left it that way. And I set my bearing in the epoxy, and there we go. So I pressed my bearing into my bearing holder first, but I wanted to do that to keep the glue out of the bearing. Then I just used a 1/4 20 bolt and a 1/4 20 nut. I pushed the 1/4 20 bolt down inside of there with the vise. I rounded it off with the drill, good old drill. Rounded it off to where it would just press right in there, and then I welded it. Then I put this dog in there, and now when you crank it, the little red light shows up. Let me turn this off so you can see a little better. But yeah, now it charges. Now you can crank it all day long. It's got a bearing in it now, so it won't break so easy. Yeah, and then I just took the nut after the bolt was I took and cooled it quickly I took a nut and a washer. But now we have the crank back. Now all I have to do is clean up this epoxy. A little bit of sanding and throw a little bit of flat black paint on there and on there. We got ourselves a flashlight again, guys. I just couldn't throw it away. It was just one of those things I use a lot. It works so good. It's an LED. But there you go, guys. That's the fix of the flashlight. That's how I did it. Just used a bearing and some tubing, grinder, and some epoxy. There we go. Should never break again, and it's so much smoother when you crank it. There's no wobble in the crank. It's tight now. So clean up all this, give it a little bit of love, and she should be good. Alright, guys, take it easy. And if you guys are wondering what flashlight this is, it's a Wagon. And item number is 2343. I know I like it. It works so good. It runs forever without no problem. Just crank it and it runs. Well, now the crank works again. Alright, guys, take it easy. We'll catch you next time. Remember, if you watch it, thumb it up. Take care, YouTube. Bye-bye.